My name is Mike Harlan, and the night my 27-year marriage finally cracked, I was standing under the fluorescent lights of a church basement with a microphone in my hand, staring at my wife and her lover in front of half of Cedar Rapids. It was supposed to be a simple community dinner at St. Andrew's. Potluck casseroles, styrofoam cups of coffee, old hymns drifting down from choir practice upstairs. Instead, it became the night everybody found out what my wife had been doing in room 302 at the Clover Inn. I remember hearing my own voice too calm saying, "Some folks put on a different coat depending on who they're seeing." Then I reached into a big brown envelope and pulled out a hotel key card, a crumpled note, and a stack of bank papers that might as well have been a sledgehammer. Linda went pale. The dentist beside her dropped his fork. You could hear the coffee pot gurgling in the kitchen. That was the moment everything snapped. But it didn't start in that church basement. It started a few weeks earlier with a phone call at 11 o'clock at night from the 62-year-old woman who's been washing half this town's clothes since before I met my wife. It started the night Donna called. I was in my old recliner in our little ranch house on the southwest side of Cedar Rapids TV, on mute, half watching the late news rerun. The house was mostly dark, just the blue light from the screen and the lamp by the window. Linda had gone to bed early, said she was worn out from the office. The clock in the hallway had just chimed 11 when my phone buzzed on the side table. Unknown number. At my age, calls that late usually means somebody's in a hospital bed or a morgue. My stomach tightened as I picked up. "Hello?" Mr. Harlan, a woman's voice said, a little shaky. "It's Donna from Maple Street Laundry." I sat up. "Donna, is everything all right?" I'm sorry to call so late," she said. I could hear a dryer rumbling behind her. "But you need to come down here. Right now. And please don't tell your wife you're coming." My first thought was that Linda's car had been found in a ditch. "Is my wife there?" I blurted. "Is she okay?" "She's fine far as I know," Donna said. "This isn't about her being hurt. It's about something I found in her coat. Something that could destroy your 27-year marriage if we don't handle it right." I stared down the hallway toward our bedroom door and felt my heart beat in my throat. "Destroy my marriage," I said. "Donna, what are you talking about?" "I'm not saying this over the phone," she answered. "Just come. I'll keep the door unlocked. And Mr. Harlan, don't bring her." Then she hung up. For a moment, I just sat there with the phone in my hand. The house sounded hollow. A stripe of streetlight cut across the wedding photo on the wall, me in a cheap tux, Linda, in a simple white dress, both of us smiling, like we knew how life was going to go. 27 years. Same house, same scratch kitchen table from a garage sale, same recliner, same routine coffee at 6 me out in my HVAC van, Linda to the dental office at 8, back home around 5 supper, the 6 o'clock news, both of us asleep halfway through some crime show. I thought we were boring in a good way, safe boring. I pulled on my boots, grabbed my jacket from the hook by the door, and tried not to make the floor creak. Whatever this was, I didn't want Linda waking up before I knew what I was walking into. Outside, November air hit me in the face, cold and damp. The street was empty. Our maple tree was just dark branches against the streetlight. The old Ford F-150 rattled to life. I drove to Maple Street on muscle memory, hands tight on the wheel, mind running through every explanation that didn't involve the word affair. None of them fit the way Donna had said destroy. Her laundry sits on the corner, wedged between a dead video store and a nail salon that never seems open. The neon open sign in the window flickered like it was tired. I pushed the glass door open and stepped into bright fluorescent light. Washers and dryers lined the walls, a couple of big drums turning slow circles. The place smelled like warm cotton and detergent, with a faint trace of cigarette smoke. Donna stood behind the counter in a faded sweatshirt, gray hair, pulled back glasses on a chain. When she saw me, she took a breath, like she was about to rip off a bandage. "Mr. Harlan," she said softly, "I'm real sorry about this." She reached under the counter and brought out a plastic dry cleaning bag. Inside was Linda's navy winter coat, the good one she'd bought on sale at the mall last year. Donna slid it out, patted along the lining, and reached into an inner pocket. "I was checking for receipts," she said. "Don't want folks' papers turning to mush in my machines." And this fell out. She laid a hotel key card on the counter. White plastic, green letters, the Clover Inn, on a strip of tape written in black pen, 302. My mouth went dry. Donna hesitated, then pulled out something else, a small crumpled scrap of fabric like it had been torn from the coat's lining. On it, in blue ink, someone had written Friday. Room 302. I'll bring the wine. J. For a second, my brain refused to connect the dots. Maybe it was an old key. Maybe Linda held it for a friend. Maybe that scrap belonged to some other coat. Donna watched my face. I've done laundry for this town for 38 years, Mr. Harlan, she said quietly. I know the smell of a third person's perfume the second it hits my nose. Your wife's coat, it hasn't smelled like just her for a while now. I grabbed the edge of the counter. Behind me, a washer thumped the sound too loud in the empty shop. I didn't want to believe it when that card dropped out, Donna went on. My Herald ran off with his secretary back in '92. Started with late nights and mystery receipts too. I told myself if I ever saw another man walking blind into the same wall, I'd at least give him a warning. Anger, shame, and a stubborn little ball of hope all fought for space in my chest. Maybe it's nothing I heard myself say. Maybe it's some office thing. Maybe she grabbed the wrong coat. Even to my ears, it sounded weak. Donna didn't argue. She just nudged the key card and the scrap toward me. That's yours, she said. What you do with it is your business. I just couldn't look you in the eye on Sundays at St. Andrews and say nothing. On the drive home, I kept the key card in my hand, the corners biting into my palm. The Clover Inn, room 302, Friday. I replayed the last few Fridays. The girls' nights she said she needed. The new perfume. The sudden interest in working late. The house was dark except for the hallway nightlight when I pulled into the driveway and slipped inside. Our wedding photo caught a bit of light from the street, Linda laughing veil blowing my arm around her waist. I put the key card and the scrap on the kitchen counter and listened. The fridge hummed. The heater kicked on. From the bedroom came the faint sound of Linda's soft snore. Our bedroom door was half open. I walked down the hall and stopped in the doorway. Linda lay on her side back toward me, one hand resting on top of the blanket. The gold wedding band on her finger caught the glow from the alarm clock. Mike, she murmured in her sleep, my name soft and familiar. Something twisted inside me. Maybe Donna's wrong, I thought. Maybe there's some reasonable explanation. Maybe this is all bigger in my head than it is in real life. I stood there balanced between two stories, the one where my wife was still the woman who chose me at a church picnic, and the one where she was meeting somebody named Jay in room 302 with a bottle of wine and my future in her purse. In the end, I did nothing. I backed out of the doorway, went back to the kitchen and slid the key card and the scrap into the junk drawer, under the takeout menus and dead batteries. 27 years, I whispered to the dark. She wouldn't just throw that away. I wanted to believe that more than I'd ever wanted anything. The next morning, Cedar Rapids looked the same as it always did. Gray November sky cars warming up in driveways, folks heading to work with coffee thermoses balanced on their knees. But for me, nothing felt familiar anymore. I kept replaying Donna's shaky voice and that little scrap of fabric like it was a scene from somebody else's life. Linda was already dressed when I came into the kitchen. She wore her gray blazer, the one she saved for important office days, and had her hair pinned up neat. Morning, she said, pouring coffee. You were asleep early last night. I nodded, trying to keep my face straight. Long day. You heading out? Yep. She kissed my cheek lightly. Big scheduling meeting at the office today. Might be late. The kiss landed like an ice cube on my skin. I watched her walk out the door, her heels clicking on the porch. When her car pulled away, I opened the junk drawer and took out the hotel key card. Room 302, Friday. I wasn't ready to confront her. Not without knowing the truth, whatever that truth was. And the only thing worse than being a fool was being a fool loudly. So instead of heading to my job, I drove straight to the Clover Inn. It's an older place on the edge of town. 2 floors brown brick, the kind of motel where traveling salesmen and truckers stay because it's clean enough and cheap enough. The kind of place where secrets don't echo. The lobby smelled like burnt coffee and carpet cleaner. A young clerk with a nose ring sat behind the desk scrolling her phone. Can I help you? She asked without looking up. I placed the key card on the counter. Do you have records for who stayed in room 302 last Friday? She blinked. Why? I kept my voice even. My wife had this card in her coat. I'm just trying to figure out who it belongs to. I'm not asking for personal details, just a name. She sighed the sigh of someone making $10 an hour. Let me check. She typed for a moment, squinting at the monitor. Okay, here we go. Guest name on the reservation was Jay Morrison. My heart hit my ribs. Jay Morrison, I repeated. Are you sure? Yep, Jay Morrison, paid in cash. Cash, of course. But something wasn't adding up. I leaned forward. Do you remember what he looked like? She shrugged. I didn't check him in, but tonight's shift Jenny's dad stays here sometimes. Name's Jerry Morrison. Old guy. Silver hair. Lincoln Town car. Could have been him. The air rushed out of my chest in a weird shaky breath. An old man, silver hair Lincoln. That didn't match anything in my mind. Not Linda's co-workers, not friends, not family. Certainly not the kind of man she'd meet secretly in a motel. Relief slid in uninvited but warm. Maybe this was nothing. Maybe the card wasn't even hers. Maybe Donna had mixed up coats. I held on to that thin fluttering thread all the way back to the truck. But as I put the key card in my console, that little scrap of fabric with the note room, 302 Friday wine, rubbed the hope raw again. By the time I drove home, relief had drained out the way warm water slips down a cold drain. I spent the rest of the afternoon pacing between the kitchen, the living room, and my workshop out back. I couldn't focus, couldn't eat. My brain kept turning over details like bolts on a workbench. Linda had been distant for months, not cruel, just elsewhere. She'd started buying new clothes she said were just clearance items. She'd changed her perfume. She'd picked up extra shifts at the dental office even though the schedule never seemed busier. None of it had bothered me much at first. Marriage gets quiet after this many years. People grow. But now all the small things lined up like fence posts pointed in one direction. I thought about calling our daughter Maggie in Des Moines. But what was I supposed to say? Hey, sweetie, does your mom meet strange men in motel rooms? No, I couldn't drag her into something I barely understood myself. Around 3 in the afternoon, my phone buzzed. Donna. My stomach dropped. I answered, yeah. Mr. Harlan, she said softly. I'm sorry, but your wife's coat had something else in it. I didn't see it last night. It was tucked down in the lining. My hand tightened around the phone. What is it? It's a bank slip, she said, from Cedar Rapids Credit Union. She hesitated. It's a big number, Mr. Harlan, and it's in her maiden name. I thought you should see it. I drove over faster than I meant to. Donna looked almost apologetic when she slid the paper across the counter, a crisp deposit slip showing Linda had moved $34,800 into an account under L. Carver, her maiden name. My throat closed. Donna watched me carefully. Sometimes people save money secretly. Not always bad reasons. But I knew my wife. Linda wasn't a secret saver. She wasn't an independent planner. She didn't change banks' names or accounts. Not in 27 years. What do you think it means? Donna asked. I don't know yet, I said. But deep down where truth lives before you're ready to face it, I already did. It meant she was preparing for something. Something big, something without me. When I got home, I compared the signature from the deposit slip to the handwriting on the motel scrap. The ink was different. The paper was different. But the way the letter J curved the hook at the bottom was exactly the same style. A cold realization ran through me. Maybe Jay wasn't the old man in the Lincoln after all. Maybe Jay was someone younger, someone closer, someone she saw every day. My mind went to the dental office. The new dentist. What was his name? Jared. Dr. Jared Morrison. The same surname. Different man. The motel clerk had only known the old man because he stayed often. The real reservation could have belonged to the younger Jared using cash, using just an initial. My relief collapsed like wet cardboard. I sat at the kitchen table for a long time staring at the papers, staring at 27 years of trust hanging by a thread. When the garage door opened at 5:30, I gathered everything, hid it under the sink behind old paint cans, and washed my hands twice. My palms were sweating, but my face had to look normal. Linda walked in with a Hy-Vee bag in her hand. Hey, she said casually. You okay? You look tired. Tough day on the job, I lied. She smiled, hung her coat, the coat on the hook, and asked what I wanted for dinner. I watched her move through our kitchen like she had 100 nights before. Familiar steps, familiar drawers, familiar sounds. But inside, nothing felt familiar. She wasn't just meeting someone. She wasn't just lying. She was preparing to break our life in half and walk away with nearly $35,000. And I still had no idea why. I went to bed early, pretending to be exhausted, but really just avoiding her. As I lay there in the dark, listening to her brush her teeth, rinse, Turn off the bathroom light, I felt something shift. Not a snap, not yet, but a hairline fracture running straight through the center of my life. Tomorrow I decided I would stop pretending. Tomorrow I would find out who Jay really was, and why my wife had begun building a new life without me. The next morning I woke before sunrise, long before Linda's alarm went off. I didn't sleep much. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that deposit slip glowing like a warning flare. $34,800 in her maiden name, moved quietly, slowly over months. You don't do that unless you're planning to step out of a life and into another one. When Linda's alarm finally buzzed, she rolled over, kissed my shoulder and said, "Morning, babe." Her voice sounded casual, warm even, like nothing had shifted, like our marriage wasn't hanging over a canyon with one fraying rope. It nearly made me sick. She got ready quickly, hair-curled makeup on one of her nicer sweaters. "We've got a big patient load today," she said. "I'll probably be late again." That word again hit me like a tap hammer. After she left, I sat at the table with a cold cup of coffee and stared at the key card. It wasn't enough anymore. I needed answers. Real ones. The kind that make or break a man. So I drove to the dental office. Morrison Family Dentistry sat inside a renovated brick building off Collins Road. A little too fancy for a two-dentist practice, sleek windows, new landscaping, a sign that probably cost more than my first car. I parked across the street and watched people stream inside, mostly retirees, a few moms with kids, a UPS driver. Nothing strange. Then I saw him. The door opened and out stepped a man in his early 40s, maybe mid-40s at most. Tall, athletic build, expensive haircut, navy scrubs that looked tailored. He smiled at an older patient as she thanked him, and the smile was polished like he'd practiced it in a mirror. The gold name tag on his pocket read, "Dr. Jared Morrison, DDS." And just like that, the false trail at the Clover Inn vanished. The old man in the Lincoln wasn't the Jay Morrison from the note. This man was. My stomach clenched. I sat there gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. The younger Morrison, the handsome one, the charming one, the one Linda talked about sometimes in passing. Dr. Morrison liked my scheduling idea, or Dr. Morrison complimented my sweater. I'd never thought twice about it. But now, standing on that sidewalk, he was the only thing my mind could see clearly. I didn't confront him. Not yet. I wasn't ready to be told the truth by the man who had stolen my wife's attention, her time, maybe her heart. No, if I was going to do this, I needed proof, more than a hunch. I needed to know without question what had happened in room 302. I waited until he went back inside, then drove home, made a sandwich I couldn't taste, and sat in silence until the sun fell low behind the neighbor's maple tree. Around 7:30, I made my decision. Tonight I would follow Linda. She said she was working late. I needed to see if that was true. At 8:15, I parked my F-150 2 blocks from the dental office and shut off the headlights. The November cold crept in through the cracked window as I watched the side door. At 8:40, it opened. Linda stepped out, coat pulled tight, scanning her phone. A few seconds later, Jared followed. They didn't touch, not that I could see, but they walked close. Too close for co-workers at night. My pulse thudded in my ears. I started the engine and instantly regretted it. The truck backfired, loudly. It echoed off the building like a gunshot. Linda spun around. Even from 2 blocks away, I knew she recognized the sound. That truck has a cough you can hear across half the county. She looked straight toward me, squinting. I ducked, hitting my elbow on the dash. My phone slipped between the seat and the console, and when I reached for it, my shoulder hit the horn, just a tiny honk, but loud enough. Linda froze. Then she said something to Jared, pulled her coat tighter, and hurried to her car. They drove off in opposite directions. I sat there in the cold cab, humiliated, furious heart, pounding like I'd run a marathon I didn't train for. I had followed my wife like some desperate man with nothing left, and all I had gotten for it was the sound of my truck giving me away. I didn't get proof. I didn't get answers. I didn't get anything except confirmation that they were hiding something. I drove to VFW Post 788 on autopilot. The hall was nearly empty, just a few old-timers playing cribbage and watching college basketball on a muted TV. My buddy Russ Briggs, a retired Marine with a face carved from granite, sat at the bar nursing a beer. He looked at me once and knew something was wrong. "You look like you lost a fight with a tornado," he said. I sat beside him and told him everything from Donna's call to the key card, to the deposit slip, to the failed follow. Russ listened, jaw tightening. That's not a woman drifting, he said when I finished. That's a woman transitioning. When they start hiding money, Mikey, they're planning their exit. I stared at the bar. I don't want to believe that. Doesn't matter what you want. What matters is what she's doing. He took a slow sip of beer. You need to protect yourself. You need evidence. No yelling, no swinging, no confronting before you're ready. You get the truth. Then you end it on your terms. End it. The word felt foreign in my mouth. Russ put a hand on my shoulder. Brother, she already ended it. You're just late to the funeral. I didn't cry. Not there. Not in front of him. But something inside me broke a little, just a crack, not a collapse. When I got home, the lights were on, and the house smelled like something warm. Linda had cooked. She'd set the table. She even put candles out. I walked in slowly, confused. She turned from the stove and smiled softly. I made beef stew. Your favorite. I know things have been off lately. Her eyes glistened. She walked over, touched my cheek. Mike, we've been together 27 years. I get scared sometimes. I get tired. I feel old. But you're still the only man I've ever loved. Her voice wavered in the way that makes a man want to believe every word. For a moment, a real painful moment, I almost fell into it. I almost forgave everything I didn't yet fully understand. I almost told myself Donna was wrong. The key card meant nothing. The deposit slip had some innocent reason. The late nights were work, not betrayal. But then her phone buzzed on the counter. And I saw the notification light up the lock screen. One preview line, one message, one bullet to the heart. Jared, you lied to your husband like a pro tonight. You're amazing. My throat closed, my ears rang. Linda glanced toward the phone, then quickly scooped it up before I could reach it, giving me a shaky smile. You must be tired, she said softly. Let's eat. Her voice was tender, her eyes were wet. And she had lied to me minutes after telling me I was the only man she'd ever loved. I excused myself, walked to the bathroom, closed the door and locked it. Then I leaned both hands on the sink and stared at my reflection under the harsh light. The man looking back wasn't confused anymore. He wasn't hoping anymore. He wasn't praying to be wrong. He was preparing. Preparing to end the lie. Preparing to expose the truth. Preparing to take back the life someone else thought they could steal from him quietly. I whispered to my reflection. I'm done being the husband she cheats on. From now on, I'm the man who ends this. I didn't sleep that night. Not a minute. I lay awake listening to Linda breathe beside me, steady and calm, like she hadn't just told one man she loved him, and another that she loved lying about it. Every time I closed my eyes, Jared's message flashed across the darkness. You lied to your husband like a pro tonight. By sunrise, something inside me had changed. I wasn't drifting anymore. I wasn't wondering. I wasn't hoping for misunderstandings or innocent explanations. I was planning. If 27 years of my life were about to be torn in half, then I wasn't going down quiet, and I sure as hell wasn't letting them rewrite the story to make me the fool. I wanted the truth. I wanted it undeniable, and I wanted it public. Not out of revenge alone, but because I deserved at least that much dignity. After Linda left for work, I drove straight to Maple Street Laundry again. Donna was sorting towels in a big blue bin when I walked in. She looked up and froze. Mike, she said gently, you look worn to the bone. I told her what happened following Linda the truck, backfiring the dinner, the text message. Donna didn't interrupt. When I finished, she let out a long breath and leaned against a dryer. I'm real sorry, she said. I wish I'd been wrong. I nodded, jaw tight. I need your help. Her eyes sharpened. What kind of help? I need proof. Something solid, and I need them both together, Linda and Jared, in a place where they can't lie their way out. Donna crossed her arms, thinking. Then she glanced toward the coat rack. I still have her winter coat. She hasn't picked it up yet. A slow, dangerous smile grew on her face. You know, Donna said if I were the sneaky type, I might call her and say I found something else in that coat. Something she shouldn't leave lying around. And she'd come running, I said. Donna nodded. Especially if she thinks it's evidence she needs to hide from you. And she won't come alone, I said. She'll bring Jared. Donna gave a small, satisfied nod. Exactly. I felt something tighten in my chest, not fear, not excitement. Focus. What do you need from me, Donna asked. I need you to make the call, I said, but make it subtle, just enough worry to pull her in. Donna cracked her knuckles. Subtle's my specialty. We spent the next hour planning. I would wait with Russ behind the folding counter where Donna kept spare detergent. Russ, being a retired Marine, had a way of standing still that made him invisible until he didn't want to be. Donna would leave the coat hanging in plain sight like she'd been working with it. When Linda arrived, Donna would tell her she found an old scrap of fabric tucked inside that mentioned room 302. Not the original scrap, the new one Donna wrote by hand, matching the handwriting almost perfectly. Enough to make Linda panic, enough to make her think evidence still existed, and enough that she dragged Jared with her to fix the situation. People panic when they think their secrets are showing, Donna said with a shrug. Trust me, I've cleaned enough pockets to know. Before she called Linda, Donna added, once they're here, I'll distract them. You get whatever proof you need. One-party consent, I reminded her. Iowa law. As long as one of us is recording, it's legal. Donna smirked. Honey, you think I don't know Iowa law? I was married to Harold for 30 years. I learned the hard way. Around noon, Donna made the call. I listened from behind the counter as she put on her sweetest, most oblivious voice. Hi, Linda. Yes, it's Donna from Maple Street Laundry again. Sorry to bother you, hon, but your coat still had a little scrap of fabric tucked deep in the lining. You must have missed it. It says, something about Friday and room 302. Should I throw it out or do you want to come grab it? From the faint crackle of the speaker, I could hear Linda inhale sharply. Oh, okay, honey, sure, see you soon. Donna hung up and looked at me. She's coming. And the dentist, I asked. Oh, she didn't say, Donna replied with a wink. But she'll bring him. A woman in trouble always brings the man who dug the hole for her. Russ arrived 10 minutes later, wearing his old Marine Corps jacket and a face that meant business. You ready for this? He asked quietly. As ready as a man can be, I said. He clapped my shoulder. You're about to get your life back. That's a good enough reason to stand tall. We positioned ourselves behind the counter, hidden but with a clear view through the open space between detergent boxes. Then we waited. The dryers hummed. Donna folded a towel, humming along with the radio. I wiped my palms on my jeans at least 6 times. At exactly 1:42 p.m., the door jingled open. Linda stepped in first, still in her office clothes, her hair pinned neat. Jared followed a few seconds later, wearing a dress shirt and slacks instead of scrubs, darting his eyes around like he didn't want to be recognized. Donna beamed innocently. Hi, sweetie. Oh, good you brought Dr. Morrison with you. I was hoping I wasn't interrupting anything important. Linda's voice was tight. Where's the fabric scrap? Oh, Donna gestured to the counter. Right here. I pulled it from the lining this morning. Thought it looked important. Before Linda could grab it, Jared reached out faster and snatched it from Donna's hand. His eyes scanned the fake note. His jaw tightened. We need to get rid of this, he muttered under his breath, but loud enough for every microphone in my pocket to catch. Linda hissed, I told you not to write anything down. I didn't, Jared snapped. That was when Donna delivered her line, smooth as butter, sharp as a knife. You know, Dr. Morrison, she said last week, you told me your teeth were so white because of that $80 toothpaste. But now I'm starting to think it's all the red wine you've been drinking in room 302. Jared went rigid. He took 2 involuntary steps back, bumping into a laundry cart. Linda's face drained white. Donna, she started, voice quivering. But Donna raised a hand. Sweetheart, I've washed clothes in this town for 38 years. I know what cheating looks like, and I know the smell of desperation even better. It was my cue. I stepped out from behind the counter. Linda's eyes snapped toward me. Her face collapsed. Mike. Jared swallowed hard like his throat had suddenly shrunk 2 sizes. We can explain. No, I said calmly. You really can't. Russ stepped out beside me, arms crossed. Jared took a half step back. I'm not here to scream, I told them. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to document the truth. I held up my phone. This is being recorded. Linda's knees buckled and she grabbed the counter for balance. Mike, please don't do this here. You did this, I said. I'm just making sure it's clear. For the next 20 minutes they talked, or rather they confessed without meaning to. Their words were frantic, scattered, defensive, incriminating. And I recorded all of it. When it was done, I put my phone in my pocket and said quietly, tomorrow night. St. Andrew's Community Dinner. You'll both be there. Mike, Linda whispered, eyes wet. Please don't. You showed me who you are, I said. Tomorrow I show everyone else. Then I walked out. The cold hit me like a blessing. I felt taller than I had in months, like a man stepping out of fog and finally seeing the road ahead. For the first time since Donna called, I felt like myself again. The next evening, Cedar Rapids was wrapped in that early winter chill that seeps into your bones even when you're standing inside a crowded church hall filled with the smell of crock-pot casseroles, instant mashed potatoes, and too strong coffee. St. Andrew's Community Dinner had never looked so full. Folks from every corner of town were there. Old classmates, co-workers, neighbors who still shovel each other's sidewalks. The kind of people who've known me and Linda for decades. They weren't expecting a spectacle. They were expecting meatloaf and fellowship. But for me, this night wasn't about food or small talk. It was the night the truth came out, finally and fully. I stood near the back hands tucked in my jacket pockets. My heart beat slow, heavy, controlled. I'd spent 27 years keeping peace, biting my tongue, smoothing over arguments, believing love meant endurance. Tonight, endurance had a different meaning. Father Tom walked up to the microphone at the front of the hall. He'd been my friend since junior high, back when neither of us had gray hair, and both of us thought adulthood would be easier than it turned out to be. He tapped the mic gently. "Evening, everyone. Before we eat, I'd like to say a word about honesty and commitment, things our community values." Then he looked at me directly, knowingly, and gave a small nod. "And my old friend Mike Harlan," he continued, "has something he'd like to share." A ripple went across the room, chairs shifting, voices quieting. Linda, sitting with a group of dental office co-workers, turned slowly in her seat. Jared sat beside her, stiff as a board face, drained. I walked to the front with the envelope in my hand. My boots echoed softly on the tile floor. When I reached the microphone, I didn't speak right away. I let the silence settle. A long, heavy 5 seconds. The kind that makes older folks lean forward and younger ones squirm. Then I said, "Some people wear different coats depending on who they're seeing. And sometimes, those coats hold the truth better than the people wearing them." A few confused chuckles drifted through the room. I opened the envelope. First, I pulled out the hotel key card. This, I said, holding it up, was found in my wife's winter coat. Linda's breath caught from across the room. I heard it sharp, panicked. I set the key card on the table. Then I unfolded the small scrap of fabric with the handwritten note, "Donna's decoy," identical to the original. This was in the lining. I read aloud softly, "Friday, room 302. I'll bring the wine. Jay." The room went absolutely still. Next came the deposit slip, the one with $34,800 quietly shifted into an account under Linda's maiden name. This, I said, was moved without my knowledge over months. People murmured. More than murmured, some gasped. In a small-town, marriage isn't just a personal bond, it's a public institution, and betrayal hits every person watching because everyone knows someone who lived through something similar. Finally, I pulled my phone from my pocket. And this, I said, is the recording of my wife and Dr. Jared Morrison discussing how to hide their relationship. I won't play everything, just enough to make the truth plain. I tapped play. The audio echoed through the hall, Linda's tremble, Jared's panic, their voices naming dates, excuses, the room number, their fear of being exposed. A woman near me whispered, "Oh my Lord." Another man muttered, "That poor guy." Jared pushed back from his chair, face flushed dark red. "This is inappropriate," he blurted. "No," I said calmly. "Cheating on someone for months is inappropriate. This is accountability." Father Tom cleared his throat softly but didn't intervene. He knew the difference between vengeance and justice. Linda stood up, hands shaking. "Mike, please, let's talk privately. Not like this." "Privately," I said. "You chose public deceit. I'm choosing public truth." Russ stepped forward from the crowd, arms folded, jaw set. Donna stood beside him, quiet, steady, righteous. They weren't backing me up aggressively, just present, solid. People like that make a man feel less alone at the worst moment of his life. Linda's eyes brimmed. Not with regret, at least not pure regret, more like fear of consequences. "We can fix this," she whispered. "Fix what?" I asked. "My trust, my dignity, our marriage. Or the part where you build a secret exit with our future savings." She didn't answer. She just sank back into her chair, shoulders collapsing inward, like something inside her had finally given way. I stepped away from the microphone. "I didn't do this to humiliate anyone," I said. "I did it so I can walk forward with a clean heart, and so no one can claim I abandoned something that was already gone." Then I nodded to Father Tom. He cleared his throat. "Well," he said gently, "the truth is hard, but it's always welcome here. And with that, the community dinner resumed, except nothing about the room felt the same. People avoided Jared like he carried a contagious disease. Linda stared at her hands, unable to meet anyone's eyes. I had expected to feel triumphant. I didn't. What I felt was something quieter, stronger. Relief. Real relief, the kind that comes when you stop carrying a weight that was never meant for one person alone. The weeks that followed moved fast. I filed for divorce. The judge, after reviewing the hidden bank account, granted me the majority of the house, the savings, and the truck. Jared resigned from the dental office quietly. Word spreads fast in a town that talks over grocery store aisles and church pews. Linda told the court she had used part of the money to pay off debts Jared had dragged her into, gambling, reckless loans, threats. I believe parts of it, not all, but enough to see that she wasn't evil, just weak in the exact moments she needed to be strong. I didn't hate her, but I didn't want her anymore. I rebuilt my routines. Coffee at Casey's, fixing up my workshop, helping Donna repaint her laundry sign one Saturday morning, visiting Russ at the VFW for a beer and a quiet laugh. And slowly, not all at once, clarity settled into my chest. This wasn't the end of my life. It was the end of pretending. 27 years had built something real, but the ending had to be real too. One evening, I sat on my porch with a cup of coffee and watched the sun drop behind the neighborhood rooftops. The air smelled like distant wood smoke. Kids rode bikes down the street. Life went on the way it always does, steady, unhurried, honest. I took a deep breath and said quietly to myself, I didn't just lose a wife. I found myself again. And I found the people who didn't walk away when things broke. That's the one thing Donna's laundry never taught me. Sometimes the truth doesn't hide in pockets or scraps of fabric. Sometimes it hides in the people who stand with you when the world tilts. If you've lived long enough to give someone decades and they broke that trust, please hear me. You're not alone. Your story matters. Your truth deserves air. And if this story gave you even a little strength, like a comment or a subscribe, helps it reach someone else who might need it tonight. Because sometimes all a person needs is to hear that they're not the only one who made it through.